Hello everyone, and I'm going to be giving you my episode 4 review of X-Men 97. Without further ado, let's begin with the review. So the episode 4 is called Motendo slash Life Death. Now, Life Death will be important later on. Now, there are two parts. The first part is going to be it's going to be the ending half of this episode, the middle and the ending half of this episode. And the second part is its full on Life Death Part 2, which I'll talk about later. But okay, so let's begin with the episode review. So the episodes open up with the X-Men in the X-Mansion eating breakfast, and there's this funny scene between Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto with them about coffee. Them talk about coffee, and that Magneto is giving Rogue's coffee some sugar, and Gambit's like, "I want some," and then Magneto's like, "Sorry, no." And then we see that it is in this episode. Jubilee is turning 18. It is her 18th birthday in this episode, so Jubilee is 18 canonically in the show. So yes, Jubilee's 18 in the series. And so it's her birthday, and she wants to celebrate by going to the arcade like old times, the way that she used to go to the arcade during like the first episode of the original X-Men cartoon series, the 90s series. And then we see, the other X-Men are be like, I don't know, I don't think it's safe. And then Jubilee's like, whatever, I'm out of here. I'm going back to my room. And then we see Roberto, our new sort of, mutant. Our new mutant is, from the first episode of X-Men 97. He's still at the mansion. And that he's talking to Jubilee, and Jubilee's like, I can't believe all the X-Men are being boring. I just want to have fun and, have fun on my birthday and all that type of stuff. And we see that she got a mysterious gaming console called the Motendo. The mysterious gaming console is called a Motendo, and it's sort of based off the Super SNES, the Super Nintendo, mixed with the Sega Genesis. So the Motendo is a mix between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. And we see Jubilee's like, I don't remember getting this. And then Roberto's like, I don't think that's a good idea to play with that. And she's like, whatever, I'm going to play this cool console. So she activates the console, and the console comes to life, and we see these weird machine-like tentacles grab both Roberto and Jubilee, and that they get sucked into this mysterious world. But we know that they get stuck into a video game, but they get sucked into a mysterious world. They're at her room at first. And then, for all of a sudden, a sentinel crashes, the mansion in her room. And then we see Roberto and Jubilee are in shock. Or we see them fighting a sentinel, and then they mysteriously get transported to the city. And we see them fighting the sentinel. And we see Roberto's, doesn't want to use his powers, but Jubilee's like, you need to use your powers. And he's like, I don't want to. What if my mom is seeing this? And then Jubilee's like, does it have to revolve around you? And Roberto's like, yes. And then we get to see them running away from the Sentinel until a mysterious phone booth, appears and is glitching. The phone booth is glitching. And we see, them eventually arriving at the phone booth. And eventually, they eventually teleport to the next location, that being a game world version of Genosha. So we're at the next level of the game that they're trapped in, that being Genosha. And then we see, Jubilee's talking about, I remember this is Genosha, where me, Gambit, and Storm were held at by Trask to, be slaves. And then we eventually freed everyone, but why are we back on Genosha? And eventually these, generic guards, fighter guards that you see in video games show up and blasting at Jubilee and Roberto. But eventually, they fight them, and then for some reason the guards, glitch out, and get to see a mysterious woman shows up to save them, and Jubilee makes the connection that they're stuck in a video game, and none other than, of course, the villain of the episode, Mojo, appears, and we see, Mojo saying, my views are in the decline. I need more viewers. That's why I trapped you in this video game. So that you can have fun. Well, I can have fun. So I can have the views. And my show can have major viewpoints. So play the game or you die in real life. And Jubilee and Roberto's like, They not sure. But Mojo's like, if you don't play the game, you'll die in real life. So you gotta play the game. So Jubilee's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to play this game. And Roberto's like, I don't want to play the game. I don't want to die, but okay, whatever. I'll try my best. And so, they're fighting in Genosha, and then eventually they fight at the next level. I forget which level they fight in, but basically they're fighting, and they're fighting at like this Days of Future Past sort of street level. This image that you see there, this sort of Days of Future Past image that you see on screen. So they're fighting at like this like abandoned street, and there's a bunch of sentinels. And from the Mojo's perspective, on his audience perspective, the game is sort of in like this 8-bit, sort of 16-bit, like 8 bits, 13-bit, 16-bit, whatever type of viewpoint. Meanwhile, Jubilee and Roberto's perspective, they're in the standard X-Men 97 animation style, but they're in an 8-bit type video game type world. So they're fighting multiple Sentinels. Jubilee's having fun. She's like, I don't want to leave. I want to have fun. And then eventually, we cut to Storm's perspective. We come to Storm, and we cut to Storm and Forge, and they're talking about how they can get her powers back. And eventually, they develop a little romance, and eventually Storm's asks, what happened to your leg? What happened to your arm? And Forge is like, I lost it in a war. And then we see a photo of the X-Force, and I forgot what Forge's old friend's colleague's name is. But basically, if you haven't watched the original series, he died. His colleague died, but got replaced by Mystique. But before then, Forge and him and the rest of the other mutants that Forge know were on another X-Men type government team called X-Force. So that's how we got X-Force in the original series and in this series. But basically, Forge is like, I lost my arm and leg during a war, but I'm going to see if I can try to help you get your powers back. And we see, the reason why, he's helping Storm, because he's the one that invented. If you haven't read your X-Men comics, Forge is the one that, created the whole mutant dampening gun that, what's his name? Annihilator, or what's his name from, like, the second episode, basically took Storm's powers away. Or Executioner, it was Executioner, yeah. Executioner, he's the one that, took Storm's powers away. And Forge is the one that created the weapons and the collars and the dampers and everything. But at first, he has Storm riding a horse and like the wilderness to, essentially get a feel of the wind and like her powers of like her storm powers of, the wind, the earth, the weather, and essentially get her feeling thrilled again through the weather. And when we cut back to Jubilee and Roberto, they're tired. Jubilee just want to play all day. And eventually Mojo's like, yes, keep this up. But eventually, the mysterious woman before helps Roberto and Jubilee and takes them away. And Mojo's like, no, this can't be. And then we found out the mysterious woman is actually an older version of Jubilee from the original game source code or demo code. And that she's like, look, Jubilee, I know you're having fun, but you can't be stuck in the video game for all your life. You got friends, you got the X-Men. I know things have changed with the X-Men and Charles being gone, and Jean, clone Jean, and the real Jean coming back, and Cyclops being weird, and everybody not paying attention to you. But again, you don't want to be trapped in a video game. That's what I did when I was you, so I'm helping you out. And Jubilee learns an important lesson to not let nostalgia get to her and to focus on the present. And that's cool. And then we find out Mojo's like, no, I won't let you ruin this. So Mojo becomes the final boss. And he's like, and we get this anime epic music, this anime rock epic music, boss battle theme. And eventually we see Roberto, old Jubilee, and Jubilee, finally defeat Mojo. And we see them eventually, one of Mojo's, mutant, accomplishes eventually frees Jubilee and Roberto from the game. And then when Roberto and Jubilee are free from the game, they share a kiss together, a romantic kiss, which is cute. I think it's cute. And then we see that we cut to Storm and Forge, and that they're trying to get her powers, and we see this nightmare scene between this nightmare scene with Storm, and as she's seeing visions of darkness, and her trying to fight these visions of darkness, and her dying and respawning like Mojo's like video game. And then we see her like, I don't want to do this, I need a break. And then we see her just saying that I need a break. and we see her so scared, and Forge is like, I'm sorry that I did this to you. And eventually Forge reveals that, he created the collars, and the power that took Storm away. Storm is upset at first, but then she understands. And then the episode ends off with Jubilee, Jubilee, happy with her birthday, and then the episode ends off there. So overall, what do I think about this episode? Well, I think this was a fun episode. I love seeing Jubilee. Jubilee's one of my favorite X-Men characters. I love seeing Roberto in this, shining with Jubilee. I love seeing Mojo again. Mojo was fun to see in this episode again. Love seeing Bishop and Storm's relationship gets to, bloom and blossom, along with Roberto and Jubilee's relationship again to bloom and blossom. But overall, this episode was pretty good, and I think you should watch this episode if you're a Jubilee fan, if you're a fan of, Mojo or any video game type episodes. I highly recommend watching this episode. But overall, this is going to be it for this video. Make sure to like and share this video. Also subscribe to the channel. By subscribing to the channel, you'll be really supporting me as a content creator and really supporting me as a YouTuber and really supporting the channel. And stay tuned for more awesome videos that I'm planning on uploading in the near future. Stay tuned for my more X-Men 97 reviews, and stay tuned for my upcoming My Adventures of Superman Season 2 reviews. That's coming on the channel very soon. And stay tuned for more awesome content on the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.